Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man video. This time we are playing Seismic Assault once more, and our opponent is a green-red Shamans deck, which is quite an interesting deck in itself, so this was going to be another nice video to bring to you. Opponent wins the roll, and see if we can get this thing underway. So this is our opener. Got Raging Ravine, Vent Catacombs, Pyromancer, Faithless Looting, Double Inquisition, and a Smallpox. Quite an interesting hand. Would probably preferred a few more lands, but maybe land instead of Smallpox, but seems like a decent hand. I'm just going to lead off with a Harbinger, which is fine. Finding a Rage Forger, which indicates that he's Shamans. I could have cracked Verdant for something for the to get this Flame Jab, just to kill off his Harbinger, but it didn't really seem worth it while. And it also means that we'd only have 1 mana on the following turn if we don't draw into an untapped source. So I think running out the Raging Ravine on turn 1 seems better. We'll play this Burning Tree into Elvish Visionary, which means that his Rage Forger is going to be pretty devastating if he can hit it. So we're going to Inquisition it out of his hand here, and we're going to Flame Jab one of his guys, the Visionary. Doesn't really matter, either one of his 1-drops is fine. It's a shame to use 2 spells there, given that we've got a Young Pyromancer heavy hand, but it seems fine. One plays a Boss Banneret into a Fauna Shaman, or Shaman if you prefer to pronounce it that way. Here we're going to play out our Young Pyromancer and then Inquisition. I think we hit a Boss, which we knew was the last card in his hand, but we didn't want him to use the Shaman to turn it into a Rage Forger. We decided to trade our Young Pyromancer with his Shaman, just because it can be pretty devastating with him being able to turn any of his creatures into a Rage Forger. So I was worried about that. I don't know if it would be smart to keep both our Pyromancers and get them really going. Maybe it would have been better. Maybe worth a risk, but decided to play this route. Actually top deck's Rage Forger anyway, and yeah, it's pretty awful for us. We're going to take 3 just from the attacks. These creatures are all very large, and there's not much we can do about that really. I mean, could have chumped, but it's not going to lead us very far. So he ends up getting game 1. I feel a little unlucky that he top decked the Rage Forger, but I suppose that's how it goes sometimes. Let's move on to game 2. In terms of sideboard options, we bring in Anger, obviously. That's probably the main card to bring in. We have a lot of other great cards against him in the sideboard, but Flame Jab and things like that are quite nice against his 1/1 guys. So just gonna get an Overgrown Tomb. I cracked that early because I was thinking about looting turn 1 just to get Loam in the yard, but obviously with my current hand I actually can't need a green source, so I have to get the Overgrown Tomb unfortunately. Just play Loam here. I kind of messed up actually. I should have just played a land to play tapped, I think. But this way we get Loam into the yard early on, but it would have been better to looting, I think, overall. Fun hits us with a Blood Moon, which was not something I was expecting. It's quite unfortunate. We have Faithless Looting, which gets us pretty far, and obviously Anger is still very playable. We also get to find a Seismic with our Faithless Looting, and that seems pretty good for us. Obviously nice that all our lands are mountains, because we're going to be able to play the Seismic quite easily. And then uses Harbinger to find a Rage Forger, and then gets an Eternal Witness. I'm just going to clear the board now. I don't want him to land Rage Forger next turn, because it's just going to end up with a lot of pain for myself. I mean, I suppose we'd still be able to wipe the board post Rage Forger, but I don't think there's any point in taking that level of damage. Yeah, I mean, maybe it was worth the risk, because he might drop another creature along with the Rage Forger, but I prefer just Anger in here, I think. And then Seismic can deal with the Rage Forger and probably any other drop he's going to make. Played land there. I probably shouldn't have done. I should have just kept it for another shock off the Seismic. I just wasn't really thinking. Figured it would be a good idea to play out my lands, but obviously consideration has to be given that every land is a shock at the moment. There's a Burning Tree Shaman, which is quite annoying. Obviously one of the bigger cat creatures in his deck, and it's going to take 2 lands to kill it. Draw a Flame Jab, which isn't the best really, but not terrible either. Obviously it's going to be a free kill on one of his creatures probably. So activate the Seismic Assault twice, taking a couple of damage off the Burning Tree Shaman's ability, but I think it's worth it to get rid of that off the board. We find our basic forest, which is awesome. Going to use looting to get back our loam and play it that turn, just in case he's got some sort of graveyard hate going on. But that seems kind of unlikely, but it gives us 3 lands back, so we've got 6 points of damage. I'm going to be able to kill off his creature. So get rid of that. Loam back our loam. Got Raven's Crime into the yard, so I can actually get rid of his last couple of cards as well if I want to, and I'm going to get enough damage with the Seismic to kill him off. So yeah, managed to play through Blood Moon, which seems quite impressive. Obviously we was a little bit lucky to find the forest, I suppose, but I feel like we had a reasonably good control of the match once we landed Seismic, because every land draw was pretty live, and anything else obviously that was playable would have been good. So yeah, worked out pretty nicely for us. Let's move on to game 3. Also obviously now we know he has Blood Moon, we're less likely to get caught out by it. So he leads off with a Verdant. This hand's pretty nice. Got Loam, we've got Double Inquisition, got Flame Jab. Leads off with Bop. Draw another Verdant, which is nice. I wanted to fetch a basic forest with the Verdant, obviously to play around Blood Moon, but as we drew another Verdant, I'm just going to get the Blood Crypt and kill off his Bop with the Flame Jab. Opponent plays Cavern, Bop, Harbinger, finding Rage Forger. I don't crack the Verdant because I don't want to get Blood Mooned, but I do decide to kill off the Bop. I could have killed off the Harbinger, but I suppose it doesn't make a great deal of difference. I mean, if you just play the Rage Forger, it would have been bad. Opponent tells me that he fetched the wrong land. Turns out he has Blood Moon in hand, so I think he was trying to play around Blood Moon by getting his basic forest, but would have been better off getting his Stomping Ground, because it ends up leaving a load of cards in his hand. I think this is where we Inquisition him. Yeah, Inquisition, getting rid of the Burning Tree Shaman. He has another Harbinger, and I think his other card was, I should say here actually, yeah, Blood Moon and Harbinger, his other cards in hand, but obviously he's a bit stuck on mana now that he fetched that basic forest. Kill the Shaman, so he can't just search up another creature that he can actually cast, and Inquisition. Pass the turn. Gets another Shaman, and attacks with the Harbinger. We got Seismic, which is nice, but we are just going to Loam, Flame Jab his Shaman, and our opponent concedes, pretty much seeing the writing on the wall. As soon as we get another red source, we're going to play Seismic, and that will probably wrap things up pretty nicely. So yeah, worked out pretty well. Played around Blood Moon, which I figured would be quite difficult for this deck, but actually is something that is doable, and yeah, it worked out pretty nicely.